For 54 years, the moon was a graveyard for human ambition. We didn't stop going because we lost the technology, and we didn't stop because we ran out of money. We stopped because the Cold War ended and we got comfortable. But on April 1st, 2026, the silence ended with the launch of Artemis 2. Suddenly the race is back on. Why now? The answer isn't just science, it's because a new rivalry has been ignited between China and the United States. China wants to land astronauts on the moon by 2030. Whether it's space exploration, the brutality of wars, or the tough world of capitalism, humanity has a rule. We move much faster when we're being challenged. Let's look at why competition is the greatest accelerator in human history. The fact that humanity's golden era of space exploration happened exactly during the height of the Cold War is no coincidence. The two were deeply connected. Back then, the United States and the Soviet Union were engaged in a contest to prove whose system was superior. They competed in technology, military power, ideology, and in space. The results were extraordinary. The Americans reached the moon first with Apollo, but the Soviets didn't remain behind. Their Venera program achieved remarkable things. They were the first to land probes on Venus, the first to send back images from its hostile surface, and the first to record sounds from another planet. In the contest of rivalry, both sides achieved greatness. Then, the Cold War faded, the Soviet Union collapsed, and the competition disappeared. Suddenly, America's desire to explore the cosmos faded too. It wasn't because it lost the technology. What disappeared was the incentive. Without a serious rival pushing the US, comfort and laziness set in. The United States, it turns out, needed the Soviet Union to bring out its best. Now, more than 50 years later, that incentive has returned in the shape of China. On April 1st, 2026, NASA launched Artemis 2, the first crewed mission beyond low Earth orbit since 1972. At the same time, China is methodically preparing to land its own astronauts on the moon with plans for a long-term presence at the lunar South Pole. China has caught up in many areas and even surpassed the US in others, like green energy and electric vehicles. Once again, a powerful competitor has reignited a rivalry that will spark races across various fields, including a space race. And history shows this could represent the beginning of a new golden era of space exploration. But space isn't the only place where intense competition has produced massive leaps forward. Sometimes the catalyst has been far darker. At first sight, it can seem counterintuitive, but throughout history, wars have often been the catalyst for rapid technological progress in different fields. The urgent need to outpace the enemy produced innovations that later improved civilian lives for billions of people. Here are a few examples. Before World War I, blood transfusions were risky because blood clotted quickly and couldn't be stored. The massive casualties of trench warfare created the need for blood transfusions. Doctors developed ways to safely store blood using anticoagulants and refrigeration, and even set up the world's first blood bank. These techniques saved countless soldiers' lives during the war and continues to save lives today, dramatically improving survival rates from trauma, surgery, and blood loss. The Second World War brought great destruction and produced tens of millions of casualties. Yet, under the extreme pressure of survival, it compressed decades of technological development into just a few years. Before the war, this antibiotic existed in tiny laboratory quantities. The desperate need to treat wounded soldiers led to massive government-backed increase in production. By D-Day, millions of doses were ready. Before the war, penicillin was so rare it was measured in milligrams. By 1945, US companies were producing 6.8 trillion units per year. After the war, it became widely available to civilians, dramatically reducing deaths from infections and opening the modern era of antibiotics. The radar was perfected during the Battle of Britain to detect enemy aircraft. It gave the Allies an important advantage. In peacetime, the same technology revolutionized air traffic control, weather forecasting, and safe civilian aviation. The jet engine, developed by both sides in the race for faster aircraft, jet propulsion barely influenced the war itself. But within years, it paved the way to the commercial jet age. Faster, more efficient air travel became possible, shrinking the world and making international flights affordable for ordinary people. Other wartime innovations produced everyday products like duct tape, originally developed to seal ammunition cases waterproof, and early electronic computers. Even the cavity magnetron from radar research led directly to the microwave oven. This doesn't mean that wars are good, far from it, but they show how the competition of an existential conflict can force innovation at a faster rate with benefits that echo for generations. This same pattern doesn't only appear in geopolitics or on the battlefield, it operates every day in the jungle of capitalism. Capitalism works because of continuous competition between companies. Just as in nature, where only the fittest organisms survive and thrive, companies that fail to adapt to change gradually fade and then go bankrupt. Those that innovate and deliver better value rise and dominate. A good example comes from the automobile industry. In 1908, Henry Ford introduced the Model T, a simple, reliable, and relatively affordable car. But a real breakthrough came a few years later when Ford perfected the moving assembly line. Instead of highly skilled workers building one car at a time over many hours, parts moved along a conveyor while workers performed simple, repeated tasks. The time to build a single Model T dropped dramatically, from more than 12 hours to just about 90 minutes. This innovation gave Ford an enormous advantage. Prices fell sharply, making cars affordable to ordinary working families for the first time. By the 1920s, Ford was producing more cars than all other American manufacturers combined. At one point, half of all cars on Earth were Model Ts. Competitors who couldn't match this efficiency and low cost struggled. Many small car makers were driven out of the market or forced to adapt quickly. The old way of building cars, slow, expensive, and handcrafted, simply couldn't compete with Ford's new system. This process, called creative destruction, is harsh for those left behind. But it's also what leads to continuous improvement, lower prices, and better products for everyone. But there are also counterexamples. During the Gilded Age, John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil was accused of using dirty tactics to dominate the oil industry. The company cut fuel prices below cost in local markets to bankrupt smaller independent refiners. Once many competitors were driven out or forced to sell, Standard Oil gained nearly 90% of the US refining market. This created a monopoly in which Standard Oil could later raise prices and make record profits. The ruthless approach crushed many small businesses. It eventually led to America's first major antitrust laws and the 1911 breakup of Standard Oil. Of course, not every competition accelerates innovation or makes the parties better. Some rivalries only bring destruction. But throughout history, competition has often been the force that pushed humanity to achieve great things. In the case of Artemis II and the emerging new space race between the United States and China, this competition is welcome. It has already reignited a desire to return to the moon and go beyond. Whether the next giant leap is made by American astronauts or by Chinese ones, any success belongs not just to one nation, but to all of humanity. The moon is no longer a graveyard of ambition. A new golden age of exploration is beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please like and consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.